Oh, hi, Mark. All right. So this movie was different, and by this movie, I am of course talking about Evil Dead Trap, which is a Japanese film from 1988, directed by a guy whose name I surely can't pronounce. I'm assuming that, of course, because I didn't remember the director's name. Tashiharu Ikeda. I guarantee I pronounced it wrong. That's okay, because no one expects me to pronounce that correctly. And if you do, then you're a dirty communist, all right? I don't know why that makes you a dirty communist, but it surely, in some way, somehow, it makes you a dirty communist. Anyway, I just got out of the shower. Hair's a mess. I didn't do anything with it. You know, I didn't brush it or anything. Like, I'm going to bed. You know, it's gonna look like doo doo in the morning anyway. Like, it doesn't matter. But anyway, yeah. So Evil Dead Trap, off the director's name and into the actual movie. So this movie is about a reporter, a television reporter, who receives a murder video in the mail. Uh, I like to avoid saying uh, murder video in one word. You guys know what the word is. It's just a gross word to me. Honestly, uh, I'll say it. I'll say it once just to prove that it's not for like the YouTube algorithm or whatever you might think it's for. Snuff. It's a snuff video, and now I've said it twice. But it's just a gross word to me. Sounds gross. It's not pleasant on the ears. But anyway, she receives this murder video over the mail, and basically she's like, "Oh my god, it would be like a fantastic idea if we went and investigated that." And um, the TV people are like, "It's an awful idea. You could get yourself killed. You could give more attention to the guy, and he could go kill someone else because he thinks that you're like into whatever he's trying to do." And she's like, "Hey, me dying would boost ratings." He's like, "Not funny." It's kind of funny. But anyway, long story short, they go. Her and some of her team go to kind of investigate this place. And first of all, I want to bring up something that actually happened in the murder video. We're not quite to the film yet, but this movie has one of the nastiest eye gouges I've ever seen on film, which is a huge plus if you're a gorehound like myself. I I mean, Fulci's Zombie had a fantastic one, but I don't know, man. There's something about the one in Evil Dead Trap that is just especially grody and especially cool. I don't. Maybe I'm sick. I don't know, but it is really cool. And you know, then they get into this factory and they start investigating around, and something I kind of want to bring up. It starts happening, or actually, I think it starts happening towards the beginning. You know, I'm gonna finish the plot synopsis before I just go in a million different directions. But so basically, they start investigating and they start realizing that something is kind of funny afoot here at this factory. People from the crew start to go missing. Yada yada yada. We have a horror movie. Um, and that's all I'm really gonna do for the basic plot synopsis. Um, but anyway, moving on to the actual discussion about the film itself over a plot synopsis. This movie does have what I'd consider only at points. It has this very strange editing style where it'll cut between things really quickly. I wasn't a fan of that. when it did happen. There were points where it worked. A lot of the time it didn't work though. Along with some of the way this movie was shot, I wasn't a fan of. I remember specifically like this one shot in the beginning of the movie where it's like it lingers above their head for so long, and we're just looking at them at like kind of a bird's eye view, except it's not high enough to be a bird's eye view. Like we're right above their heads, and it's just an uncomfortable shot. Like we can't see anyone's face, and I don't know, it's strange to me. There are a few shots like this throughout the movie. When I say like this, I mean just in awkward positions. I don't mean necessarily like a bird's eye view shot, but like just in these really strange, awkward positions where it's like, why did you choose to do that? Those shots just felt like, I don't know, it almost felt like the director was trying to be a wee bit too experimental. But yeah, so I wasn't a fan of that. Most of this movie was shot pretty fine. I mean, it's pretty standard. I will say that this movie builds some pretty good tension at times. One scene in particular that I like, the first scene that I actually felt tension of any sort, didn't even have anything to do with the killer. Like she was walking, maybe I'm just a pansy, but she was walking through this abandoned factory, which is where they go. It's an abandoned factory, and there's this snake that she basically steps on this thing because she doesn't notice it, and she's like, and she freezes, and the snake is like checking her out. It's like getting close. And for a second it looks like it's gonna slither up her skirt. That produced genuine anxiety. Like I was like, don't do that. That scene was actually very, I don't know, it actually made me anxious. And there are a number of scenes that do that in this. A number of scenes with our main character. Honestly, I don't even remember her name. Oddly enough, I remember like a couple of the characters' names, not our main character's name though. So that's kind of odd. Maybe it just wasn't set enough in the film for me to remember it, or maybe it just flew over my head every single time it was said in the film. But I don't know. um, but anyway, there are multiple scenes with our main character that are actually tension filled. Pretty tension filled scenes. In particular, scenes where she's going down these long dark corridors, or where she's hanging out with this strange character who we're definitely not sure about. And in the entire movie, was like, this guy's full of that bullshit. Like, the entire movie, I didn't trust this guy. From his introduction on, I was like, this guy's a killer. Like, how are you not picking up on this? This is some prime killer material here. Like, this guy is he's gonna skin you and wear you. All right, my man's is out here like he is definitely going to wear you over his flip-flops. All right, like he's gonna make shoes out of you. I don't know how that's gonna be possible, but he's gonna find a way. Believe you me. And so a lot of the scenes with her and him kind of traversing down long dark hallways and they're in this dark factory for most of the movie. So not just the hallways, but you know what I mean. I mean just the whole factory. Whenever they're together, you feel, I don't know, at least I did. I felt a little bit of tension, like something's off about this. And realistically, for me, it was just waiting until it was revealed. Like this guy he's on some type of that nonsense. He's on some type of that nani. As actually, that doesn't make sense because Nani. I'm pretty sure Nani literally means what. He's on some type of that what. It sounds like nonsense, but whatever. Nani ever. I'm sorry, that was stupid. But like for me, the whole time I was just waiting for it to reveal that this guy was in on it. I was like, when it finally did, I wasn't surprised. Um, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a little bit, but there's a line in this movie that I'd actually like to address. At one point, one of the reporters was, because they split off into groups. If apparently they learned nothing from Scooby-Doo because they are all splitting into groups, man. They all split up. And one of the reporters was like, "Oh man, it's so hard to make it in a man's world. Like as a female, you really have to get a award-winning story. You have to get this amazing story in order to be taken seriously." And I couldn't help but laugh to myself because I was like, "And that goes away if you have a penis?" Like I'm sorry. Like, cool, girl power, like you go girl, but literally the same thing for guys. Do you genuinely think that guy journalists just go around winning all these prizes for stories like, "In other news, Bobo the seal likes popcorn"? Oh my god, this kid's gonna make it. All right, I'm telling you right now, the Bobo the seal guy, he's got what it takes. Like, no, yeah, you have to as a journalist, you have to have good stories in order to make it in the profession. It's how it works. It's how journalism works. It made me laugh because it's like, really. I felt like I was being preached to a little bit right there. I was like, quit being preachy, movie. Like, not only are you being preachy, but you are being so cringy about it. Anyway, I wanted to kind of touch on that a little bit, but then I also want to touch on the fact that the score in this film is super familiar. At first, I thought it might have been the Phantasm score that I was thinking of, but I listened to that and it wasn't quite familiar. Like, they sound a little alike, the Evil Dead Trap score and the Phantasm score, but I don't know that that's what I was thinking of. If you guys know what score this sounds like, then let me know, because it's been bugging me. Phantasm is the closest thing I could come up with. But I don't think it's Phantasm that I'm thinking of. But the Evil Dead Trap score, first of all, it's a really good score, but it sounds super familiar. Like, I know that from somewhere for sure. Not necessarily that particular score, but definitely a similar one. There is a very, very similar score out there. I'm just not sure what movie it's to. And then anyway, there's this scene where they're running through this abandoned factory, as you do. I think they finally figured out, who the killer, or not who the killer is, but that there is a killer. Like, this chick's body is on a meat hook, and they like slide it down the hallway and it slams into the wall, and so this one girl just takes off. She's gone. And then like 9 years behind them come these two other people, our main character and then the one male character who came there with them, and they both, from what I saw, they both fall through the floor. But then later, our main character is shown to be on the roof, which doesn't make any sense. Like, we go through a pretty big chunk of this movie where we don't really see our main character, But then the next time we do see her, she's on the roof. But she just fell through the floor. Like, wouldn't you think that it would address the fact that she fell through the damn floor? Like, maybe her struggle getting up to the roof? But she seemed to, like, wake up on the roof like she didn't know where the hell she was. And then the guy, they find his head on the roof. So I'm very confused. Like, maybe I genuinely don't know what to think of that scene. To me, it looked very much so like they fell through the floor. If I'm completely wrong and misreading what happened in that scene, let me know in the comments. But that's genuinely what I thought happened in that scene. That's what it looked like to me. And then the one girl who just bolted, she got out of there. She gets out to the car, and this was actually a pretty effective jump scare. She is just about to drive away, and there's this guy in the back seat, but he doesn't like pop up and try to chloroform her or choke her or something like that. He presses the lever on the bottom of the seat to make the seat go back, and he attacks her that way. And that's unexpected. I was expecting someone to be in the back seat, was not expecting that to happen. So I actually did kind of, I jumped a little at that, which was pretty impressive. Unfortunately, there is something that happens in that scene. There's a sexual assault that happens, or rather a rape, because this is more than sexual assault. You didn't need that. This movie didn't need that. There was genuinely no reason for it. Like, I get it. It's to show that this guy is super cruel, but I think we could have done that differently. Like, it didn't need to get sexual at all. Especially since the nature of the killer in this film isn't that way. It didn't need to be that way whatsoever. And so that happens, but he says the guy that's in the back seat is this random guy. We don't know who he is. I think it is revealed that he is the boyfriend of the woman in the beginning of the film, in the murder video. He's her boyfriend. The chick who died in that video, he's her boyfriend. But then we're also to believe that he has been twisted to be this deranged murderer now. Which doesn't make sense. Like, this is the only time anything like this is brought up. This is the only time that it's brought up that maybe these guys keep prisoners and are, like, waiting to... they have, like, these people in there that are just waiting to follow orders, and, like, because that's what he said. He's like, I've been ordered to kill you. Who ordered you? This person? It doesn't seem that way. I genuinely don't understand that. I could have definitely done without that. I think it 100% cheapens the story of this movie, because it doesn't make any sense. And for this killer to act so out of characteristic with this one individual, it doesn't make any sense, and it's a little jarring, especially after having seen the whole movie. Like, I go back and I look at that scene and I'm like, this makes even less sense now than it did at the time when I was witnessing that scene. So I really don't like that he was in the movie at all. I'm super confused about who he was, about why he was there, about why they decided to keep him alive, about what he's been doing this whole time, about what his involvement in this is. Why did they choose to keep him? Why did they twist him to be this way? Why was he this way? Why? Like, I genuinely don't get that, and it's just, it brings up too many questions to be a solid part of the story. And I'm just realizing, guys, that I should have brushed my hair just for the sake of doing this video, because it looks pretty terrible as of now. And I am sorry. Yeah. I don't know how to fix it, guys. But anyway, yeah, no, I'm super confused about him, and I just don't think he needed to be in the movie. Not only do I not think that what he did didn't really need to be in the film, I don't think his, quote-unquote character needed to be in the movie at all, just because of how random and stupid it was. While we're talking about a negative, let's get into another negative I had with this film, which is the damn pacing. What is the pacing in this movie? I mean, genuinely, what were they thinking with the pacing? All right, don't get me wrong. Don't think that I didn't like this movie because I'm dogging on it a little right now, because I actually really enjoyed this movie. It's just certain aspects of it that I'm getting into right now that were really detrimental to my enjoyment of this film. And a big one is the pacing. I mean, who told you this was a good idea? All of the kills are in the beginning of the film. And so, I mean, I want to say either the last half or the last 3/4 of the film, no kills whatsoever. Nobody dies. What it is one big long chase scene, and that is insane length for a chase scene. Like, I'm okay with long chase scenes. Friday the 13th Part 2 chase scene, I've heard people complain about that chase scene. That chase scene is crispy, alright? The chase scene is choice, alright? But not this. This is so incredible. Like, this chase scene isn't a chase scene. It's multiple chase scenes. And she is just running from the killer for the last, like I said, either the last half or the last, I genuinely think it could be up to 3/4. I almost hesitate to say that because I think it might be a bit of an over-exaggeration, but that's probably just what it felt like, because like I said, the pacing is just god-awful. I mean, they're running from the killer. We don't even see the killer for a long period of time. Technically we do, because she's with him, this random guy that we're introduced to earlier that I was telling you. I was like, the whole time I was like, this guy is acting sus. Like, this guy's fishy as hell. He does end up being pretty much the killer, but the main killer anyway. But we don't know that at the time. We kind of do. I mean, like I said, I suspected it, but it's just, I swear to God, it's like the last half of this movie is this guy firing shots into the darkness and clutching his chest a lot, and people walking places, and then it's her walking out to a car, and then walking back, and then walking. There's so much walking. Like, it's like, you're like, no, leave. And that's another thing. Her character, the main character, she's not intelligent. She really isn't. She's not very intelligent with this at all. Because not only does she go back, because it's personal now, I guess, because it's personal that this killer killed all her friends or whatever. Like, I understand. That's a pretty personal thing, but she goes back, all right, with intent to take this guy to the police station, bring the cops there, that way you are guaranteed to survive. Don't you think it looks a little like this guy set up shop in here? Don't you think this guy might be in there, living in there or something? I don't know. That's just me. And then another really stupid thing, she never checks the gun that she's given. Okay, if someone were to hand me a revolver like that, and they're like, here, take this, you're going to need it more than I will, I won't have problems with the killer, First thing I do when I'm getting out of their sight is I'm checking if it's loaded. And it is the most simple thing in the world to check if one of those is loaded. You open the cylinder, you pop them out, and you the bullets will be in your hand. Either bullets or empty casings. Super simple to check. And on top of that, you don't know how many rounds were in that gun. You don't know anything about it. It's like, see, you're just gonna trust that he handed you that with a full cylinder. On top of that, you don't even know if he handed you blanks or something. Like, you're gonna trust this guy that you just met this dude. Anyway, yeah, she's not very smart. But then, you know, ending happens. Well, sort of ending. That's another thing about this movie, and I'm just gonna kind of briefly mention it, is it seems to end like 4 or 5 different times. This movie needed to end quicker, and it needed to be about 20 minutes shorter. I mean, just dear God, what? There were so many like seeming endings that it was ridiculous. But anyway, big surprise reveal, the guy is the killer, but then we get a real surprise reveal when we hear him speaking. And at first I was thinking, okay, so this is going to go one of two ways. Either this guy is going to have some kind of split personality disorder, which she actually kind of mentions, or this is going to be like a ghost that's talking to this guy, and that's why this structure that he's in is like collapsing, and like flares are shooting everywhere, like sparks are lighting up and everything. And what it turns out being, we finally find out after he's shot, is this mutant tumor baby that is living inside him, which is crazy enough. But then you take into account something has been making these things happen. Something has been making these sparks and like pyrotechnics go off. Something has been making these parts of the floor collapse. Something has been making these weird, like, miraculous looking things happen that are happening. And so, oh, and I'm pretty sure this tumor thing is what compels him to kill people, I think. And so what we have at the end is a mutant psychic tumor murder baby, which is the greatest amalgamation of words that's ever left my mouth. A mutant psychic tumor murder baby. That is incredible. I'm not even mad at it at this point. I don't even care. That's amazing. That is the most batshit insane thing ever. And then, again, they do this thing where you think the movie has ended like 9 freaking times. That's a little hyperbolic, I'm sorry. That's a little hyperbolic, but a lot of times, like, you think the movie, okay, this is the ending. Okay, this is the ending. Okay, no, it's not. You will be incorrect almost each of those times until finally we reach the real bona fide ending where she's at the studio. Her shooting wraps up. She gets done shouting out her dead friends, and everyone leaves the studio. And a mutant psychic tumor murder baby pops out of her. Which leads me to ask the question, is this a new mutant murder psychic tumor baby, or is this the same one? Is it like when it touched her, when that crispy killer touched her after he burned alive, when he touched her, did he transfer it somehow? Because we never see it crawl into her or anything. But then I almost think, like, is it a situation where maybe it's like you kill one and then you get one? I don't know. This movie never explains it. I have never seen Evil Dead Trap 2. I'm going to have to amend that sometime soon because this movie was so batshit insane. I can't help it. I want to see the second one. Um, but how did she get her own mutant psychic tumor murder baby? That doesn't make any sense to me. By the way, say that 10 times fast. I'll bet you can't even remember the same order. I have it written down over there. I'm sure you can notice me glancing towards my notes every once in a while. I can't even keep it straight. Hold on. Mutant psychic tumor murder baby. Mutant psychic tumor murder baby. Mutant psychic tumor murder baby. It's a mouthful. Anyway, at the end of the day, it's got a batshit crazy ending, which is kind of dope. But it has some serious pacing issues. And it does have at least one confusing plot point. And actually, I didn't even think of the guy that was like gagged down there. Like, what was that about? But anyway, I'm trying to end this before I have to meld two videos into one, so I'm off that. But at the end of the day, it has issues, but it's a really fun, crazy film. And I actually do recommend it. I think I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. Watch if you like crazy Japanese movies. So that's pretty much all I have to say on this one. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch you on the next one.